Raging Review.
The Raging Cajuns will be a source of pride for this university, for the alumni, fans, and donors as we achieve success in the classroom, in the competitive arena, and in the community.
It's about to get really fun.
We're looking for dudes that will stand up. Well, Coach, let me tell you today, I'm here and I'm ready to stand up. And I challenge you, Raging Cajun Nation, to stand up with us. Stand up with us. Let's lock hand in hand and let's walk through the gates of Omaha.
Hey, I love y'all boys. Let's grind every day starting today. Let's do it. Y'all ready? Alert! Ready? Who's that team ready? Who's that team ready? Yes, sir.
I got one thing to say right here. Cajuns win!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the Raging Review Podcast, Postgame edition. As Louisiana falls to TCU 34-3. Flying solo this afternoon. Good afternoon. It's your boy, Nick. I think we have some people that are going to join us a little bit later, but for now, you get to look at my ugly mug. I took the UL gear off. I was mad. I even messed up my hair a little bit. My mom might be watching. Sorry, Mom. I'll fix it later. But Cajuns not competitive whatsoever in this game, falling 34-3. Interested to hear what Coach Michael Desormeaux has to say in his post game. In fact, let's check in real quick. Give me 1 second. Still not ready for post game. Sounds like they're still doing some of their stats on the radio side. So I will tune into the post game when Coach Des gets up there and speaks. But again, not great. 34-3. Second game in a row that Louisiana fails to score a touchdown. 6 points in 8 quarters is not great. And I get there were a lot of things going on for Louisiana this game. Obviously, lost a bunch of players in the portal. So did TCU. I mean, they lost their best running back and wide receivers. So that was kind of a net neutral between the two teams. Lost a couple of guys on the offensive line due to the flu. Had some defensive players out. Obviously, I think having Terrence Carter out and Harvey Broussard out didn't help us as well. But look, when guys on the roster had a chance outside of Caden Jensen, and outside of Caden Jensen, they dropped the ball. I mean, Lance Lejeune dropped the ball. Dalen Cambry had a catch. Can't hate on him. Williams dropped the ball right in their hands, by the way. If it hits your hands as a receiver, you got to catch the ball. And that has been something we have seen from all of their receivers all season long. Jacob Bernard, beautiful catches today. Just couldn't get him the ball enough. I thought Ben definitely had some cobwebs to shake off, but let's be real. Landon Burton playing with the flu, couple of guys out on the offensive line. I mean, we had three starters out on the offensive line. That is what it is. My concern going into the offseason is, what are we going to do about it? I mean, we got Walker, right? We got Sampson from TSAB. Other than that, I think we got a couple of guys from FCS, but nothing really moving the needle outside of those two signings. Ironically enough, we are the second rated class in the entire Sun Belt, but I think that's because of Walker Howard being so highly rated. But we could have used some of the guys that quit on us and went to other schools. We could have used them tonight. But that is what it is. And they were probably sitting at home watching on TV and probably trashing the program. But fact of the matter is they quit. And that's how the cookie crumbles. That's the new way of college sports. Still waiting for Des to take the podium. Still don't have that. We'll go over a couple of stats real quick. Louisiana only scoring 3 points, and that came in the fourth quarter. Felt it was a bad omen when Kenny missed the long kick. Felt it was a bad omen, not because Kenny missed the kick. It felt like it was a bad omen because you're 3rd and 2 in a bowl game. Why the hell aren't you just going for it? 4th and 2 in a bowl game. Go for it. You're deep in your own territory. Hell, what do you have to lose? Instead, he kicks it, he doinks it, It happens. But why not go for it, man? Get some momentum on your side. They just drove the ball down your throat the entire length of the field. You get down to the 30-yard line, and you just say, oh, you know what? 4th and 2, we'll kick it. And it just didn't feel like, the last couple games just felt a little bit like they were just going through emotions. Didn't feel like the Cajuns that won 10 games. I don't know. It was just different for me. Let's check in and see where Dez is right now. Sorry to keep going back and forth, but I want to make sure we get his comments because I think it's important to hear from him and what he has to say. Still not ready. But in the meantime, you know what? I'm not gonna hold it any longer. Terry Johnson, I get it, but you know what? I am want to today. So hey, give me something, man. What's going on, Bo?
Turned it off during halftime.
You turned it off? What?
Yeah, I turned it off. Just like the Marshall game, I couldn't watch anymore. I mean. And look here, man, like, I know that there's a lot of Cajun fans that thought we could have put up a fight. Listen here. You got over a dozen guys that opted out. 2 or 3 offensive linemen are hurt. 3 or 4 tight ends opted out, right? We do a lot of our running out of 22 personnel. So those who don't know, 22 personnel is when we have, 2 tight end sets, right? And you can at least run out of the pistol, or even you run out of like the I formation, right? So we do a lot of our good running out of 22 personnel. We have 2 tight ends. We had to move Chaz Ward. I think he came here as a running back. We had to move him to tight end because we didn't have enough tight ends because Caden Jensen's picking up, doing most of the work, right? So we're doing all this stuff to counteract the attrition we had because of the portal or guys getting sick. And yeah, TCU had a running back out. They had 2 of their leading receivers out. But as a G5 program, you can't lose your 2 leading receivers, a tight end and a wide receiver. You can't lose a reserve running back in Dre. You can't lose, almost every tight end except for 1, and expect to compete against a program that recruits at a level superior than yours. I knew we were going to get blasted. I just didn't know how badly. And forgive me if I'm negative, but that's just the truth. If you looked at what we lost in the transfer portal in this game, because trust me, I wanted to play a P4 opponent, but I thought at least we're going to at least have something to compete against them.
Well, I don't think you're being negative, Terry. I think you're being a realist. Like, the real story is the fact that we lost a bunch of guys hoping that we could compete today, but I had a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach that we just couldn't, based on what you said. They're recruiting on a different level. Their depth is different from what we have.
Yeah, I mean, I tweeted this at the beginning of the game. I feel like TCU's wide receivers all average 6'5", 250. They were huge, and they were probably all second stringers. Like, they didn't, Betch didn't play. I mean, they are just on a totally different level, and you can't do that when you have multiple starters and reserves out. I mean, look, I'm happy we played the game. We didn't opt out like Marshall had to, and look, guys are going to transfer. They want to, leave for greener pastures. I'm going to be honest with you. This is a different culture than I grew up with. I'd be hurt to my stomach if I opted out and I couldn't play. I remember I missed the game where we played Florida and we almost beat Florida. And I was hurt that game. And I, as a player, was like, yeah, I'm just a second stringer, but I felt like, man, if I was there, I probably could have made a difference. I felt sick to my stomach. Do these guys even have pride when they leave a team, when they're on a run and they get black? Do they even care? Hey, I hope they have fun in Houston with that, basketball money.
They don't care. They're getting money. That's all they care about. I mean, Harvey Broussard and his daddy are arguing with people over on Facebook right now. Talking about how great he is. I mean, come on,
about
man.
what?
About how good he is. Because somebody said, if we wouldn't have lost players, we'd have been great. I think it all started when somebody said we picked up a 4-star wide receiver to replace a 3-star that left, and they got all pissy.
No, it's true.
But right, why are you still on our football fan forum, dude? You left us. Go.
Harvey Broussard, look, man, I hope
good luck going 5-6 next year, 5-7 at Houston.
I hope he does better at catching contested catches than he did this year
and holds on to the ball. But whatever.
Good luck to him. But yeah, man, it's just a different college football, man. Like you said, like I knew this was gonna happen. I wish we would have played like Toledo or somebody, a MAC school that we could at least be competitive against, but we just couldn't. And guys are saying fire Dez. Look, or we shouldn't have extended Dez. Look, man, Dez has done more with less than any coach in this conference could have. And I'm happy that we got to 10 wins. We've gone to 5 of the last 7 conference championship games. I really appreciate, just the culture that he's continuing to build. And yeah, you get guys transfer all the time, but like I said, if we can get guys to transfer, like replace the offensive line, I think that with some returning guys at receive position, returning we're getting Walker Howard and Sampson like that. Those are some great additions. But also, I mean, defense needs to improve. I mean, our red zone defense, I think can be put in the NCAA Hall of Fame.
Right.
Where it's 4th and 1 and Hoover scrambles and finds a guy in the back of the end zone. It's just I knew he was going to score as soon as we couldn't get the sack. I mean, as soon as we couldn't, I knew he was going to get the touchdown. We just cannot stop anybody on go-to-go situations 4th and 1. We can't stop a soul.
Well, I think the problem, Terry, I think the problem, Terry, is the fact that we were exposed these last 2 games. I mean, you can make the excuse this game that we were down a lot of players. In the championship game, you could, I guess, make the excuse we were down to Daniel Beal as 3rd-string quarterback. But you know what? We had all our other players, and we were exposed. Right?
I don't think it's all season. It's the entire. Sorry, just last 2 games. It's the entire season.
Right, but we covered it up because we won 10 games against bad competition.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, I hope that we can recruit the back end because I think we have a talented, back end. I just don't know why we play so far off the ball. I believe we should be in press man all the time. They beat you. I don't care, and. Because it seems like whenever we play so far off the ball, we can't make an open field tackle.
That drives me nuts. How many times did a guy make a catch when our defensive backs were 10 yards off of them? And then one of them, the tight end, by the way, who's like the only guy who beat us in the passing game, the tight end catches the ball, and there were 3 players 20 yards away. Like he had triple coverage, but the guys are 20 yards away. And by the way, they couldn't rush the ball. I mean, they could not rush the ball against us. So why aren't you playing man coverage? I mean, when we played man coverage, we were pretty successful. But we decided to play this zone bullshit again. I don't get it.
Yeah, it just felt like, we felt like we weren't prepared with the personnel that we have. And, that you mentioned it. Hey, we should have gone for a 4th and 2, missing that field goal at the beginning. But also that, we get the sack, and he fumbles the ball. The quarterback Hoover fumbles the ball. We don't review it.
And that was a clear fumble, man. I mean, there was no question.
The D line played as best as they could all like these past few seasons, but they just couldn't. There was just nobody in the back end to help them out. It's been the total opposite all the other games. It seems like the D line couldn't get any pressure all year, and the back end was at least making up for it. This year, this game, it just seems like total opposite. The defensive line, Lawson gets an interception. I think we had like 2 sacks. It seems like that was the D line was the only positive part of the game. Honestly, but either way, all I gotta say is 10 wins. It's been a good season. Yeah, it sucks, but going into the next season, let's please market the hell out of it. I think Mr. Blake Bork was talking about how he's a month before the season, he's gonna try to do some marketing, from the fans ourselves to help get people into that new stadium. But this is a good season, man. I'm happy for Dez. I'm happy for these guys. I'm sad for the seniors that we couldn't can't get anything for the trophy case, but you know, if you Dez has done so much more with less here, and I'm happy for this. But you know, if you want to quit on this team, whatever. You want to enter the transfer portal, whatever. Well, we get into the playoffs regardless. Let's go. That's all I gotta say.
I love it, man. I appreciate you, Terry. Hang on there. Just mute yourself. But if you want to chime in a bit, please do. Number one Cajun fan. You've been holding a while, man. What's going on, brother?
What is going on, guys? Terry, I appreciate everything you said, man. I'm a big fan of everything you got going on. I just have like a question I think everybody would probably agree with, but I just enjoy discussing topics with you guys. So here we go. Do you guys think that there should be a requirement to play in any additional game that your team gets to play in rather than letting players sit out before the important game? Because like Terry said, Terry's probably been playing football for a long time without the transfer portal. So to see guys leave right before a game that you aim for every year, like, yes, you aim for the conference championship and you definitely do try to make a bowl game, but I think it should be against NCAA rules for you to put yourself in the transfer portal without playing your bowl game. And I know some people might say, well, he doesn't want to get hurt. He wants to go play next year at another school. Well, dude, you risked your health the whole year. Why are you leaving? And the first time that this made me open my eyes was whenever Leonard Fournette sat out the bowl game. And I was like, what in the world are you doing? That's all I got to say. I just want to know what you guys think.
Agree with you 100%. I mean, hell, we had the transfer portal thing. The NCAA had that figured out by making players sit out a year. Then what happened? Politicians got involved. The government got involved. And you know what happens when the government gets involved, right? They challenge it in court, and then all this stuff happens and say you don't have to sit out and this and that. So I agree with you. If you want to save the sport, I mean, go back to the 1-year transfer rule. Oh, you can't do that because they overruled that. Oh, let's say you have to play a game. The right now the laws and the structure of the NCAA are so tilted toward the player and not the school and not the fans and not the people who are actually paying for these guys to play. So the problem is, yeah, you go ahead and institute that, but good luck, because that's going to get overturned in court. I mean, if you can't even tell a player he's got to sit out a year if he transfers, you're not going to be able to tell a player he has to play a game before he either goes to another school or he goes into the draft. That's the problem that I have with it, but I agree with you. I think that needs to be required, but I think politicians are now involved, and that's why we are where we are.
Yeah, I agree, dude. And I'm not speaking for Terry, but I could just imagine, at least for myself, man, if I got caught or someone found out that I got paid money to go play at a school when everyone else, busted their butt without money offers to go play at schools, I would be like, I mean, would I be embarrassed? Probably. I don't have any buts for this. I think it would be just really awkward that my teammates know that I'm here because I got paid. And I would imagine Terry's, he's got to at least feel maybe.
Oh, he's chomping at the bit to answer that right now. I see him right there.
I'm very
Go, Terry, go, because you can't hold back.
I'm very old school, man. Like there was no.
Hey, Terry, I think we lost you there, brother. You still there?
When they come into, forgive me. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Hello? Yeah, forgive me if I get distracted. My daughter's in front of me. I got to catch
all good, all good.
But yeah. So here's how I feel about it. If back in my day we didn't have this, like when guys sign to school now, they put on they have like a graphic. Oh, I will be playing my next 4 years at University of Louisiana. Let's work. When really it's I'll be playing 1 or 2 seasons here. If I get a better offer, I'm leaving. That's the mindset of young guys now. And so as I look at this, what we need to I'm sorry, I got to play dad. Forgive me. I'll get back to y'all later. Go on. I got to play dad. But my mindset really is right now is move the season up to early August, and then you get rid of guys having to opt out during the bowl games, because then they want you to get into the next season, the spring semester, and they have to enroll before the spring semester starts, right? So just make the season go to early August rather than late August or early September. That's how I feel about it, and that takes away all that opting out bullshit. But
Yeah,
I gotta go.
I agree. All right, man. Go take care of your daughter. No, I agree with you, man. Unfortunately, I think they're going to have to get creative on the way that they deal with this because, again, when you start getting politicians, the law involved, it's an uphill battle. Jerry, see you're joining us from, I think, New Orleans. Sorry you had to hold on a while, man. But what's going on, brother? How are you?
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing? Thank you, Nick, for holding down the fort. Yeah, we're visiting with Kayla's family, my family. It's good to catch up with family after Christmas. We usually spend Christmas in New Orleans, but with the new house, we decided to spend it in Lafayette. And it's a little frustrating. I guess the good news about seeing family is it kind of erases some of the the depression I had watching that game. I'll be real with you guys. It wasn't fun. I didn't like the fact that I felt that we were outclassed by TCU. And we made some fundamental mistakes. That's what it was. I mean, it's at the point where, there were some fundamental mistakes at the fundamental level where, dropping passes, missing assignments, careless penalties. Just that, I knew going into the game. Let's give some perspective here. This TCU team, granted, it's not the same team, but this is a program that played in the national title game 2 years ago. It wasn't long ago, right? While we were in the Independence Bowl with a 6-7 record, this team played in the national championship game. Okay, so I think this game was a good measuring stick to see where we were as a program, to see, hey, if one day we can make a run for the CFP. Today pretty much answered it for me. I don't think we're quite there yet, but we're getting there. I think we're improving. I'm not going to take away a 10-win season this year. I'm not going to take away the fact that we were the conference runner-up. But at the same time, I was a little frustrated with just the lack of execution today. Even if you're like not being able to stop TCU on third down. Again, dropping easy passes. Towards the end of the game, you get in the red zone, it's 34-3. Yes, the game is lost, but try to get in the end zone and score. Try to get in the end zone and score. And there's little things like that. Now, it may come off as petty, but look, I think this team has a bright future. I think Coach Dez is moving in the right direction. Um, but it doesn't take away the sting of what happened today. I thought we could have played a little bit better. Again, it was a great year, 10-4. I think the only way is up. When you bring in guys like Walker Howard and Mr. Sampson from Baton Rouge, I mean, you're bringing in some decent talent. I do think we need to go get some more linemen on both sides of the ball. But yeah, I mean, look, it wasn't the way we wanted the season to end. Doesn't take away what we accomplished this year. So Nick, I want to thank you for, again, holding down the fort. I'll be back probably next week or the week after, depending on if we want to take a break for New Year's. But keep doing your thing. I'll probably chime in later. Just want to give my 2 cents. Go Cajuns.
Yeah, you'll want to chime in because I'm about to tear up a couple of things that you just said. I mean, I agree with a lot of what you said. I think we played like crap. I think things like dropping balls by the receivers have been a problem all season. We covered it up because we were playing against lesser competition, but we didn't do that today. I think we had some dropped interceptions that were in our hands and we should have made. But to say TCU is a measuring stick, I disagree with you because TSAB won a national championship in 2019 and shit the bed the next 3 years. And so I wouldn't say, like, if we had gone against TSAB in a bowl game, oh, that's a measuring stick. I don't buy that. I mean, TCU 2 years ago was really good. TCU today ain't what they were before. Now, they've got talent on their team, and clearly that talent outshined us today, but I don't think it's a measuring stick. I think we just got one. I think we got hurt a lot more than we thought by the key positions in the portal. I think that the guys that were here didn't play up to what we expected them to. I mean, Mackie Mayo hasn't started a game this season, and he's all of a sudden thrown into the starting lineup on the offensive line. You got your starting center that's got the flu. Who knows how many other guys had the flu on the team? So I think we I wouldn't say underestimated. I think I, as a fan, was hopeful that it didn't affect us as much as I thought it would, but I don't think this is a measuring stick for us. And I agree with you, and I agree with Will, because Will Heron is chiming in. Did we quit, or was that just me at the end of the ball game? I was pissed. I was pissed because I would have been pissed if we were winning the game. I mean, I guess I wouldn't have been pissed if we were winning the game and we didn't at least run the ball and we knelt it at that point, but you're down 34-3 and you don't even attempt. I mean, what does it hurt to hand off the ball and try to get a touchdown at the end? I'm not worried about the score. I'm just trying to give guys an opportunity to get in the end zone that have played an entire game or maybe didn't play this season. I mean, we were down to our third or fourth string running back who almost broke it for a touchdown at the end of the game. Let the guy get in the end zone, man. Reward these guys with something, with a stat. That pissed me off. And I love Dez. And look, a lot of people are going this whole, we shouldn't have extended him, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's all bullshit. I don't agree with that whatsoever, because you have to look at the whole body of work, and 10 wins is good. But the fact of the matter is, you want to give these guys something to go in the offseason with. Something to close their career with, something. And you let the clock run out when you're at the doorstep of the goal line. I don't like it. I didn't like that at all. I thought that was, I thought that was weak. I did not like that play call. And there were some play calls during this game I didn't like. My concern going forward, and I think somebody else shared this, is with our defense. And I think Salgado is the right guy on as defensive coordinator. And I've defended him through the season and said maybe he doesn't have the pieces he needs to run his defense. We're going to find out next season, because now we're going to have a whole offseason of trying to put the right pieces in place to run Salgado's defense. The question is, are we going to find the guys to run Salgado's defense? And what concerns me early in this transfer portal world is, as I said before, we got a couple of really good players on offense. It's been crickets defensively, really crickets the rest of the way. So I'm hopeful that there's going to be a surge in the transfer portal of guys that we're bringing in. I mean, Russell Babineau, I think, is going to be a playmaker early in his career. I hope we can hold on to him. I think, Sampson, and you talked about Sampson and Howard. I mean, yeah, on paper they're great, but they've not thrown. I mean, when's the last time Howard's thrown a pass? When's the last time that Sampson's been in a ball game? So there are a lot of question marks that are out there right now that make me feel a little bit uneasy, but hopeful going into the offseason. So I think this game, more than anything, or the last two games, not just this bowl game, but the last two games, have opened my eyes to a lot of things and a lot of gaps we have in our talent that we need to figure out in the offseason. And that starts now. I want to see more guys getting signed out of the portal right now. I'm not a portal guy. Trust me, I believe in development. But at the same time, look at the number of guys you're losing. Look at what we have to replace. We need immediate playmakers, immediate guys. We need some sort of excitement from the team right now, because 34-3 and scoring only 3 points against Marshall ain't cutting it. There's no excitement going into the offseason. So I need to see something from this staff and this team going into the offseason that gives me a little bit of hope. Like I said, I'm excited. I'm glad, we signed Howard. I'm glad we signed Sampson. But there's not a lot of results in collegiate play that tell me, oh, we're set. I think it's still going to be a quarterback competition. I think Sampson's still going to have to compete for a starting spot in as a wide receiver. And look, I love Russell Babineau. I think he's going to be a good playmaker for us. Guy's undersized. How are we going to utilize him in our offense? So there are a lot of question marks going into the offseason. I want to see more results in the portal. I want to see more excitement from our coaching staff. We got a little bit of that before Sampson signed, but not going for it at the end of the game really disappointed me, because again, that's just a little momentum for somebody going into the offseason after you just got your ass handed to you and we just rolled over. And I don't like that at any point. Will chiming in about Beal not looking great. Look, I think we could all agree Ben didn't have his best game tonight. I mean, I think that's an understatement. But again, Ben was also playing against a defensive line that was kind of pulled together at the last minute. I mean, again, Mackie Mayo hasn't played in a starting role all season. He's thrown in there. You got guys with the flu. Yeah, 2 guys out. I mean, it was just a freaking mess. But at the same time, when you throw to a freaking receiver and it hits you in the hands, you got to make the catch. Period. End of story. When you're a defensive back and the ball's in your hand, I mean, we dropped 3 or 4 interceptions today. Not saying it would have made a difference, but it made me feel a little bit better about the talent on the team. So there were a lot of gaps offensively and defensively that didn't make me feel great. I think Beal just still has to get some experience. I think he's got to get, I think he's going to be our number 2. Well, he and Walker are going to compete next year. So we're going to see in the offseason what that looks like. But, it was just, God, this game just sucked. I mean, that's just it. The last 2 games of the season, you got 10 games. You're feeling good about yourself. You're thinking you're kind of getting there. And then the last 2 games just suck. That takes the air out of everything. Still trying to see. I guess maybe we missed Dez's post game. That's a good possibility because I was doing this. But just in general, again, just disappointing and not saying a touchdown at the end of the game would have propelled us into the playoff next year, but would have made me feel a little bit of a little bit better for somebody on the team. Lane, appreciate you joining. I know you're working right now, brother, but yeah, that was rough, man. How you feeling about it, man?
Yeah, I watched the majority of the first half, and I was able to catch part of the second half, but it was not what we've seen all year. Of course, I mean, with the opt-outs and the, I guess, 2 or 3 O-line, starting O-line being out, it kind of was a recipe for disaster overall, but it wasn't what I don't think, obviously, the players expected, but the fans didn't expect this kind of outcome either. I think we all felt that we would have competed more, at least early on. Maybe they would have pulled away late, but sucks to end the season this way. But looking forward to seeing what next year brings, especially with the new stadium.
Agreed. And look, I'm not trying to take anything away from TCU. I mean, they have a hell of a team. Their quarterback I was worried about him going into the game. I mean, the guy is just a freaking player, and I think it's going to be a difference maker for them next year. And I think they're going to be competing definitely for their conference championship, maybe for a spot in the CFP if things work out well for them. But that was tough to watch. Again, going in as a 10-win team, you think that you're going to be competitive in a game like this, and then you just roll over and play dead. It's hard to watch. So again, not taking anything away from TCU, but it was just in general, it was not fun. It was not fun.
Do you think if we would have had our starting O-line, just them 2 or 3, do you think it would have gone a little bit differently?
I don't know, man. I mean, I think they dominated us so much in the trenches tonight. That's hard to tell. I am curious to know how many kids had the flu, because I know Landon Burton started and he played. I think he played the whole game with the flu. So I'd be interested to know, because that thing spreads, and I know 2 other guys were out because of the flu. So I would be interested to know how that really affected the game. I'd be interested to know, now that the season's over, how many guys were injured, that type of thing. But I don't know. I think we might have been more competitive in the ball game. I mean, but at the same time, Lane, you look back to how we played against Marshall, and we were down. I mean, we didn't have a starting quarterback. We were down to Beal, and we still didn't compete. And that's just one player. So I don't know. I mean, you answer me. Yeah. Something happened between the time we beat Wake Forest and we had all this momentum and we were kicking teams' asses that we should kick, and then the 2 games that we just recently played, it makes you question, were we as good as we thought we were, or were our opponents just weaker than we expected? I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I feel that. I don't know. It sucked watching the game because, like I said, I thought we'd be a little bit more competitive. but they just beat us at the line the whole night. So be able to finally get some reps, real postseason reps underneath his belt. But yeah, like y'all said, I really thought we would have gone for the touchdown at the end to make it look a little better.
Well, it's not even about looking better. It's just about making you feel like, again, give a guy a chance to score that hadn't scored all season. I mean, we're playing against their 3 and 4s at that point. Just take a chance. What do you have to lose at that point? And I don't know. It just the not trying. Thank you, Will. The not trying to score pissed me off. And yeah, we lost 11 or 12 in the portal. And that definitely, again, I think that affected us more than I anticipated. It's just a lack of execution when you did have chances to make plays, the drop passes, the dropped interceptions. If we would have gotten beat by 34-3 and we made those plays, I think I'd still be pissed, but feel a little bit better. But then you go and you do that type of thing. I think that's what pisses me off the most, is that not only did TCU kick your ass, but you didn't even give yourself a chance to be competitive. That's what pissed me off. So I don't know. Maybe we'll feel about this. I mean, we got a whole off season to think about it. I'm sure we're going to get some players in the portal that make us feel a little bit better. But right now, I think just a combination of lack of movement in the portal outside of a couple of really big signings and the way this game went. And again, I mean, you got freaking Harvey Broussard and his daddy arguing with people off of Facebook because he thinks he's the greatest thing ever. Going to Houston of all places. It just doesn't sit well with me. So maybe that's just me being bitter. Don't forget, if you are not on the Twitter space and the Twitterverse, you can hop on X right now. I've got the space open. We are taking your comments live. Just request to speak, but I'll go through a few stats, and if you guys have nothing else, we'll close it out. But obviously, Hoover is the player of the game. He had 4 touchdowns on the day, 1 interception, completion percentage of 63%, threw for 252 yards. Wooldridge again looked like he was, he looked like he was hurt for a lot of the season and had a little bit of cobwebs to work out, but at the same time, his receivers didn't help him. 61 yards passing on the game, 1 interception, completion percentage of only 35%. Somebody mentioned Beal not having a great game. I mean, Beal, he was 3 for 4. He had 28 yards, so at least he had a good completion percentage. One thing that I thought was absolutely terrible, outside of the officiating, but that's a whole different story. We don't want to complain about officiating, but the commentators on the game seemed to know nothing about us. They were talking about, especially when they talked about Lunch, he's their wildcat guy. Every time they run a wildcat play, he's in the backfield, and Lunch hadn't played a down this season. But Lunch did get some play time. He was on there for a couple of plays in the Wildcat, so good to see him out there. Zylan Perry had 49 yards rushing. Citizen was actually the second leading rusher on the team with 43 yards. He broke one for 36. So I think when you look at the future of Bill Davis, Zylan Perry, and Citizen in the backfield, I think we're gonna be pretty good there. Dalen Cambry led the receiving with 24 yards. He was targeted 4 times on the day. Williams, again, disappointed me with the drop pass. That would have been a first down. Jacob Bernard with an acrobatic pass or catch on the day for 25 yards, but he only had 1 reception. And then all the other guys really had 1 reception on the day. Again, a lot of drop passes in our wide receiver core, which was disappointing. Something you hoped would fix itself in the break between the championship game and the bowl game, but obviously that was not the case. TCU, I mean, what can you say? Absolutely domination from them outside of Hoover. Battle in the rushing game at 42 yards. I mean, for the most part, we held them to 110 yards rushing, so I would call that a win. However, in the passing game, McAllister had 8 catches for 87 yards and a touchdown. Richardson, 5 catches for 53 yards and a touchdown. Rogers, 2 catches for a touchdown. I mean, they just, wherever they wanted to go with the ball, our guys were 10, 20, 20 yards off of the ball and just not even remotely competitive in the secondary. So that was certainly not a great look for us today. I think that is something that is going to give me a little bit of concern in the offseason. Again, I want to see what we do in the portal. I want to learn more about what we have coming to us in just generally in recruiting. That seemed to be kind of quiet. I know we signed some guys this season out of high school. I want to know more about them. So as we go through the offseason, we'll learn more about those guys and what areas of need that we have addressed. But transfer portal's got to look up, man. We got to start playing that game. And I get it that we want to retain players, but we still got to get the money to get guys here to replace some of the losses, because we do need an immediate impact in that area. Somebody asking about Lance Lejeune. Is he coming back? I think he's a senior. I do not think Lejeune is coming back next year. So I think that's another area that we're going to have to look at. But Lunch kind of fills that. I mean, you could look at Lunch as kind of a receiver / quarterback instead of quarterback / receiver. But I do think Lejeune is done for us, unless, the NCAA is crazy. They may come back and say, you know what? What did they do recently? They did the JUCO. If your JUCO players can have more eligibility, maybe they'll come back and say, everybody just gets to play as many years as they want until they decide to retire. Wouldn't that be crazy? But
I might come back. I don't play 1 minute.
Oh,
So I might come back.
Terry, I'd love to see you back. That would be absolutely amazing. Total stats for
My knees can't take it, man.
total stats for Louisiana. Total yards 209 for Louisiana, 367 for TCU. In the passing game, they completely dominated us. TCU had 257 yards of passing. We had 95. And then in the rushing department, we outgained them 114 to 110. Penalties seemed a little more one-sided than they were for Louisiana. 6 penalties for 60 yards, 5 for 45 for TCU. They, I guess, did not call a few holding calls and pass interference calls on TCU that should have been called. But you know what? That doesn't matter because we just got completely dominated. 13 first downs for Louisiana versus 19 for TCU, which is impressive because you felt like TCU just completely dominated the game, which they did. And Louisiana ended up having 59 plays versus 67 for TCU. I mean, the final score tells the story. 34-3, Louisiana completely dominated in their bowl game, scoring only 6 points in 8 quarters of football to close out the season. Look, I knew it was an uphill battle going into this game to defeat TCU. Again, going to disagree with Jerry. I mean, I don't think this by any means was a measuring stick because, hey, again, you play. Look at what TSAB did after they won the Natty in 19. They completely shit the bed for 3 years, and you can't say, "Oh, that's a measuring stick." It's not. And I'm not saying TCU's at that level, but you can't measure something that. I don't know. That just gave me a bad taste in my mouth when he said that. I don't feel like it's a measuring stick for us, but that is all that is to be said. Appreciate everybody for joining in. I do see a Jagno in the space, so I'm going to hold off for a couple seconds before I close this down to see if they want to chime in. But I think everything has been said that needs to be said tonight. Disappointing into the season after a very promising start. I don't know. It was just rough. We'll leave it at that. Looks like Man About Town will not be joining us. Let me check in to see if they ended up getting that feed going. And the answer is no. The official post game went on for about 10 minutes, so we outlasted them today. But we will go ahead and call it a day from the Ragin' Review Studios. For all of you that chimed in, I appreciate you joining us. I don't even know what song this is playing right now. It's Chris Hardaway, we'll go with that. It's Zydeco. I'll go with it. Again, to close it out, final score, Louisiana loses to TCU 34-3. I think we're all ready to move on. We're all tired. I suggest you go have something to drink, spend some time with your loved ones. I will be in Lafayette for New Year's Eve, so maybe I will hook up with a couple of you, have some fun New Year's Eve, pop some fireworks. If you know where the place to get fireworks in Lafayette is, by the way, DM me, because shut up and try to look it up, and it's expensive. You've got the connection for some fireworks. Hit your boy up, because we're gonna do it right. Have a couple of players coming over for New Year's Eve. Don't want to let them not spend it having some good food. My mom cooks really good food, so they'll be over. Look forward to it. And we'll be back soon. I don't know exactly when, but we will have a recap of the football season coming up in a week or two. And then guess what? We get to start focusing on baseball, baby. My favorite time of year. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Don't forget, like, subscribe. You don't know how much that helps us out on YouTube. So if you're in the Twitter space, go on YouTube real quick, look up Rage and Review, give us a like, subscribe to us. We'd appreciate it. And for the rest of the guys who aren't here, I am Nick. As always, go Cajuns. We'll see you soon. Have a good night, everybody.
So